Greg Whitley with Steel Steam Coffee Co.
And I'm Jesse Wood. I'm so excited for what Greg and I talk about on this episode, from paralysis, not having paralysis analysis though, and going and being in one of the best rise and build seasons of his life. I know you're going to get some value out of hearing his story. If you're hungry to walk in your God-given purpose, but the process feels slower or more hidden than you expected, you're not alone. This is the Jesse Wood Show, where we give voice to the real process behind God-designed purpose. I created this space for faith-driven builders like you to help you recognize the importance of the season that God has you in and what He's doing in you during it, because what He builds in you matters just as much as what He builds through you. I'm Jesse Wood. Welcome to the podcast, and let's build together. I am so excited for today's episode. I have one of the coolest guys on the planet that also happens to be one of my greatest longtime friends. If you want to get some dirt on me, if you want to find out what I'm talking about, if it's real, if it really happened, the stories I write about in my book, this is the guy you want to grill. This is the guy you want to put on the stand. This is the guy you want to subpoena to figure out if I am who I say I am. But he is also a guy who says who he is. Such a huge inspiration in my life. We met because Greg Whitley was leading leadership courses, training on John Maxwell at the last corporate job I was ever in. And in a weird twist of fate, what seemed like he was walking in his purpose, in his destiny, door gets slammed. God's like, hey, you need to reach out to this guy. Somehow we become friends, because I was like, this dude's like way out of my league. He's never going to be my friend. He's probably not going to answer my phone call. And here we are. I don't even know, 9 years later, so many years later, amazing friends, the kind of guy that will sit with you behind the scenes, tell you everything you want to hear and everything you don't want to hear, but you need to hear at the same time. Extreme sports, extreme business builder, extreme man of faith, just extreme, but also extreme lover and extreme friend. Greg, I couldn't be more pleased and more honored to have you on the podcast today. How are we doing?
Man, I'm feeling good. Our pre-conversation leading up to this got me fired up. It's like we were in the same room doing what we do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talking about the room you're in, if you're watching this video podcast, he's got a couch and some furniture, but then also all kinds of other stuff that's actually a part of something that you're building, like hands-on, physically building right now in your business. Talk to us about that. What is God doing right now? What's happening in the external physical building phase that you're in?
Yeah. Well, I think a little bit of backstory on that. You know this. Some people know this, but this has been 12 years in the making, right? It's been 3 attempts, different. I love writing business plans, and I love the planning, and I've almost gotten to execution 3 different times, and the door just closed for different reasons each time. And I'm like, well, I can engineer that out. I'll fix it, and then you get to the next one and you're like, well, that's new. Well, now I got to figure that out. And then you put things away for a little bit and you're like, okay, maybe it's just not time. And when I think about what was going on in my life in those seasons, some of which you were a part of, it just wasn't time. It's funny though, in this moment, in this time, September, a year ago, 2024, September 15th is when the LLC was created. So in a year, we went from tents and coffee carts to everything outdoors, exposed to the weather in the middle of winter, to trailer and events, and it's different. And the only way I can explain it is just to go check it out, but it's different. And it's a throwback and a thank you to the hardworking people that are just the blue collar, roll up your sleeves, get stuff done, that get in the grit, that go to bed tired, wake up before they're supposed to, and usually hurt and you don't know. Though, you know what I mean? Those there's people that make up the majority of our country that don't get a lot of exposure, that aren't famous, but those are our police officers, our firefighters, our EMTs, our military. Like those aren't rich people. They're just people who put in the time. And a lot of those are honorable, cool jobs and things that we need. And it just supports them. And so in community, I've been able to connect with those people. And in a year, we've built all those things I guess, in context of this, which I wouldn't say this necessarily in the way I would in community here, because I want this to be a place where everybody comes. They don't know that I'm this Jesus guy, right? So they just know that there's something different, and they come. And it's everybody. People I don't agree with, people some people would condemn and then just write off some people. And every time I see them, I'm so happy to see them because they came. And if I profess to be something, which I guess if this goes out and people see it, they'll kind of know. But, if I profess to be something, I'm going to get my base. I'm going to get the church people. I'm interested in more than just that. I want to go out where the people are and into community. And that's where I find like the adrenaline kicks in, and I'm in my space where I'm supposed to be. And I've always worked in the constraints of that under more of a corporate kind of umbrella with the rules of HR and the things you can't say. And I can say whatever I want to say now. We were just joking about me not being a conformist, but that has led to, this was going to be our year of perfecting systems, operating procedures, getting things in place, because there's some big plans for 2027. The strategic plan is built. Like, I felt good about it, and I know that God's in it, and it's been more than I could have expected. It stretched us. We don't get a paycheck. All the money's going back into the business. So I'll be eating some ramen after this, but it's been an incredible journey. And this group of women approached us and said, "Hey, we're building a wellness center, and we would love to have Steel and Steam in there." And it's connected to a gym called Fit for the King. I couldn't have planned that out. Like, I don't even go to the gym. Like, they're all believers, and the girls are believers. And I wasn't ready. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't ready. And then all of a sudden, man, they approached me with it. They talked to me about it. And I looked at Amber, I looked at the girls, and I'm like, I'm just gonna need a little time. And I needed to step away because it wasn't in my strategic plan. And which meant that I didn't know if this was a God thing. And so I needed to step back and then I took 2 weeks, and they were really uncomfortable with that. And then they were just like, "Whoa." And I'm like, "Well," and they had been told no by other people. So I didn't feel obligated necessarily, but I knew there was some pressure on them. And I knew, it wasn't responsible of me to just like let them linger. And so I talked to Amber, and then I called him up, and I'm like, "Let's do it." I met him back in the space, and we walked through that space, and I'm like, "Here's what I see. There's going to be a forge on this side, and this is where we're going to forge lives for people." The tagline, so it's Steel and Steam Coffee Company is their business, but this is actually Steel and Steam Performance Café, and the tagline under the logo, it's a very similar looking logo, just different words, and it says, "Forge the life that you want to live." And I messed around with that because me, like I'm like, forge the life you're supposed to live. What you want to live. I don't care about what you want. I'm scared about what you're supposed to do. And but that was the right thing to do. And then underneath the flag that our friend Jimmy Hinsky, retired Navy SEAL, is making this incredible flag for us. And wood flag that'll be on the wall, 3x5. Underneath that will be an anvil. There's an anvil in the logo with a hammer sitting on top of it. And when you go through the forging process, you can go in as just raw and maybe not even useful, but you get put through that heat and you get shaped and molded and sharpened. And then all of a sudden you're something, I almost said bad A, but you're something incredible and useful. You'll have to forgive me. My mind just.
No, I love that. I love that about you though, because we were in Nashville about a month ago, and my wife got me this bracelet that says "Forged in Fire" on it. And what you're talking about is the ability for the master to just take willing material and turn it into something useful that not only like gives you purpose, but helps you impact other people's lives. And when I look at the builder blueprint, what God helped me put together in my book, you are another just classic example. You could take me out of the book and you could just insert your own testimonies that prove that you've been on this journey, seeing how God has shut doors to protect you, seeing God opening doors that you never even saw coming, but because he could trust you with people. That's one thing I can always say about Greg Whitley, is that I could trust him with anybody. And so I know the kingdom can, I know God can, because you get in somebody's life and they're going to either be better or they're just going to opt out because they don't want to be better. Because that's the effect that you have on people. It's like, dude, if you're around Greg, you will become a better person. And I've always appreciated that about you. You've encouraged me. I mean, Greg had me building websites when I didn't even know what I was doing, giving me opportunity to build. But when I look at the builder blueprint, if I had to guess, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, it sounds to me like you're in the phase right now where I was when God brought me financial services and building an agency here. Senior brokers now, seeing amazing success over the last couple of years, but it's because in the BUILDER, I was in the do work, expand capacity, and rise and build. And so now all of a sudden things seem to be clicking. They seem to be working. It's exciting. And if somebody jumped into your life right now, they'd be missing out on so much of the journey that led up to now it looks like amazing fruit. You're aligned. God's accelerating you. What are you happy about in past seasons?
I remember a conversation with you in your house, sitting in, and these are words that I've said to another mutual friend of ours, Joe Riddle, amazing pastor, speaker. Somebody would ask me, "Are you happy?" And I don't want people to think I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm a little bit crazy, but
You
I'm
are
not
crazy.
okay. Maybe a little bit. But I don't like it. I don't like the thought of happy. I'm happy is an emotion. Emotion by definition is not in control. So it's not the place of logic and reasoning. It's the place of irrational actions and thoughts. And we see it in the world right now, what emotion can do. And happiness is a byproduct of, in my mind, joy. And joy is a state. Joy is a gift that you get. And in the middle of the fires that I've walked through, we were talking earlier, I shouldn't joke about it, but they're going through the valley of the shadow, like it's been some dark times, right? And death, addiction, not my addiction, but dealing with addiction, suicide, hospitals, like you know what it was. It was hard. It was dark. But there was joy. There was because there's gratitude. I mean, I know when I looked around in my inner circle and saw Jesse Wood and I saw Joe Riddle and I saw Jimmy Hiskey, that circle is so tight, so small. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to make excuses, nowhere to hide from the level that I was supposed to operate at. There was empathy for what I would go through, but I wasn't given a free pass to have self-pity. And that grit, that where God put me and who he surrounded me with, I'm not saying it was easy, man. Like, it was hard, but how it forged me is why the foundation for this business has been laid. And I don't even look at it as a business. Like, it feels like outreach. It feels like community.
Yeah.
It feels like the byproduct of building on this foundation and doing what I'm supposed to do and doing it with a level of excellence that is undeniable and irrefutable because I'm operating from a different place. And I'm not better, man. And I hope that people seeing this, they are hearing it, they don't think about this as arrogance, because I promise you, humility is very important to me. But when you're called and when you're on track with what you're supposed to be doing, there's a confidence that builds up inside of you that allows you to step out, step into, And when other people see the storm and they go and they hide, and when other people see the winds picking up and the rains and the darkness, and that's why, my friends, we all train at night. We train when it's dark. When there's a storm, we're like, oh, it's training time. Let's go. Because that's how life is, right? And you can find joy in those moments. You might not feel happy, but you can find joy. But I have happiness and joy in this season because coming out of that, I've been given a bride. I've been given a wife. I don't want to get emotional on here. I'm not going to leak on this show. So, but we, just a gift that I didn't deserve, that I didn't feel worthy of. And every day with this business and the people that are coming into my life and the people that are asking for help in certain areas because they find out something about me or whatever. And I'm not seeking it out. I'm not seeking attention. But when they come, I feel still that unworthiness. Like there's better people. There's Jesse Wood. You've never heard anybody talk like Jesse Wood. This guy can articulate anything and he's so good at it and it's real. And that's a gift that you have. And I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that you want to call when the crap hits the fan at 3:00 in the morning in the dark places. And I took a spiritual gifts test, and empathy and sympathy were the very last things out of 34 items. But here's how it works. I do have it. If you're trying and you're doing things that are moving you forward and you fail, I have sympathy for that. I have empathy for that. I will pick you up and I'll carry some of the weight and we will move forward and take ground together because I do have empathy for that because you're trying. It's for the people who are not putting out effort and aren't trying. I don't have a lot of empathy or sympathy for that.
you have sympathy for the hungry that are moving.
We all have self-inflicted wounds, and they should frustrate us when we do that. But to expect for other people to this is why this is a different kind of podcast, a different kind of conversation. This is gritty. It's hard because I don't probably represent. And I never will, and I never want to. I used to represent that guy in church that looked the part, that sounded the part. I know scriptural references. I can do all those things. I don't talk to people that way, man. That is not real life. I'll say it, and it is a reference to scripture. They don't know that.
Vision isn't permission to rush. It's an invitation to trust. Like Abraham, sometimes you're called to move without seeing the full destination. Everyone wants to build what they feel called to build. But calling often comes before visibility, like David in the field. When God gives you a vision, it's not so you can force it to happen. Like Joseph, there are seasons where the dream is clear, but the path is quiet. Before God builds something with you, he builds you, the builder. Like Moses in formation, and Nehemiah laying foundations that last. The Purpose-Driven Business Builder's Blueprint was created to help you recognize your season and build it right. Learn more at purposedrivenbuilder.com.
I love that about like the corner of the garden that God has called you to walk in dominion at. Like you rub shoulders with some of the most elite humans physically. And not only are you that physically elite human, but you always impressed and inspired me as such an emotionally and mentally elite human. Like what you were just talking about. You're like, no, Jesse, not happiness, joy. And joy is a state. James 1:2 says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. Because the testing of your faith develops endurance or perseverance. So when I look at you, you've always been one of the most encouraging people in my life. When I look at you and think about where you sit in like the top 1%, 0.5, probably 0.1%, I can see what God has birthed you for is your insane and extreme ability to create, to desire that endurance, that perseverance so much that you're throwing yourself into the trial and you're exercising that this is joy. I'm finding joy in this. You're not just like, oh, now this is happening. Let's figure out the gold. You're literally diving into stuff because you want to be the best gold miner of joy in the thing. So then you can go back and help other people see that and just communicate that and dive into it with them in that spot where, hey, consider this joy because look at what it's doing to you. Look how this process is improving you. How did you, like, where does that come from? Not just I'm going to survive and get there, but where did that come from that you just have such a big vision of the importance of endurance that you're like, I'm going to train at night. I'm going to do the crazy stuff. I'm going to do the hard stuff. And then it's also your ministry. That's the people you connect with. Where did that come from?
Gratitude, man. Like, and I know that sounds weird, like a weird answer, but when I was a teenager, I was doing freestyle BMX stuff. I've always been a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. Do it, ask questions later, see what happens. And I've got some cool scars to share with, that paint that picture, but just a freak accident. We weren't doing big airs, anything crazy, and just didn't pull the back tire in over the coping well in the vert on the half pipe that was in my backyard, and back tire flipped over, and I couldn't get my feet in the transition of the ramp. My toes grazed the plywood, and then the centripetal force, it was just flipping me over. First thing to hit was my head, this side of my face, and my body went that way, and it snapped my neck. And bike was tangled up in me, rolled off the ramp into the grass, and laid there like other wrecks that, wrecks were common. And I went to go push myself up, couldn't move. And I would tell my arms, like, you're having a mental conversation that I guess unless I'm talking to someone who that's experienced it, because there's things like you get in football, stingers, stuff like that, where you get hit and it's whiplash and you get these pins and needles all over your body. And that is the thing that happened to me after. But I'm laying there. My best friend that I grew up with was up on the ramp, laying down on the deck, and he was laughing, and it just looked funny. And then, it's just Greg doing stupid stuff. And then this seriousness, I could see his face, but I couldn't talk and I couldn't move. And the blood's coming down my face, and he saw me and he ran down. And then, I told my right arm, I'm telling my right arm, like, move. It's time to get up. My legs, like, get up underneath me. Nothing would work. So I'm laying there paralyzed, can't move. And, oh man, the intelligence of teenagers. But this was a gift. And my best friend, Tim, he untangled the bike from me, and a spinal cord injury victim, you're not supposed to move them. And I've been on emergency response teams and stuff like that. I know, like, you're not supposed to move them. And he grabbed my feet and he pulled my body straight. And I don't know how long went by. I don't really know. And memory is weird in situations like that. Elapsed time, like whatever that was, could have been seconds, could have been minutes, could have been, I know it was, I think probably 10 minutes had gone by. And he pulled my legs because he was unsure. He had tears coming down his face. He pulled my legs. He straightened my whole body out. And when he did, it was like I was hovering over the ground. I'm sure I've spent a lot of quality time with neurosurgeons because of this. I don't know how to explain it scientifically, but it felt like I was hovering over the ground just inches above, like in the grass, like I was and all of a sudden, man, just it felt like I slammed and hit the ground. And then the stinger hit. The worst pain I've ever felt. I couldn't run water over my hands for weeks. But that night, the sun had gone down. We turned the lights on in the backyard at the ramp. My mom and dad never knew this. My aunt and uncle were there. I went outside, sat on my bike. They helped me walk to my bike. And I got on my bike. I refused to be scared to ride because I loved it. And I got on the bike and I just went up the ramp. It hurt so bad, man. Came down the ramp, went up the other side, and just threw the bike on the ground and went inside. Like, that's all I needed was to get on that ramp. Fast forward, a couple of spinal surgeries later. Fast forward, my dad died of liver disease my mom's like, she worked for a gastroenterologist. She's like, you should just get your liver checked. They did a biopsy of my liver, did some blood work, and then a biopsy of my liver. I was doing triathlons at the time and like endurance races. And I had late stage 3 liver disease with no symptoms. Almost to the point of stage 4, which is you need a new liver, right?
Wow.
You're going to be on a donor list. And my mom got me in this experimental program. These drugs there was 3 drugs. I had to inject them in my abdomen every week, and it was like cancer. Some of my hair fell out, throw up every night. And I would take it at night. So I would throw up and then go to sleep it off, get up in the morning, go to the gym. And 2 weeks after that, they did another test and it was gone. Wow. And they did every month, did 6 months, then in a year, and they did all the stuff because you're part of a study, so they have to check it. And I was healed of it. And if you've been told, if you know what it feels like to have your movement to be paralyzed and then to walk, like when we talk about that, we talk about it as a miracle. The lame will walk. Like Jesus healed and gave people back the ability to move. And then that was my miracle, right? Some dumb teenager pulled my legs straight. Or I would have probably been in traction. And so I'm thankful. And my commitment to myself, having survived that and some other things that have happened. I think in the tally, I probably should have been dead like 3 or 4 times. But God has a plan for me. And I'm confident that when things have gone off the rail, He's kept me alive when I shouldn't be alive. He's kept me moving when I shouldn't be moving. He's healed me for things that would have sidelined me and other people have not recovered from. And so that comes with a weight and a responsibility. We talk about that with leadership, right? Don't say yes to leadership unless you understand the weight and the responsibility of being a leader. And there's just like this weight to it if you take it seriously. And so I've been given a gift. And I was telling Amber, new hardware, broke this femur twice. This thing gets put on my leg and it's still broken. They want to put a titanium replacement in there, but he's like, you move too much. You're not the candidate for that. We can't do that to you. So we're going to give you injections. We're going to do all this stuff and give you a brace and then you're free to roam. And we're going to run it until the doors come off. And so if you've been given that, the proof of God in my life is miraculous. All right.
So good. I couldn't think of a better way to end. This time goes so fast every single time, from paralysis to gratitude to literally one of the most full of endurance guys I've ever met on the entire planet. Thank you so much for being with us, Greg. I'm Jesse Wood. Check him out, steelsteamcoffeeco.com. His Instagram handle is up here. See everything that he's doing. Reach out to him. Just an incredible guy. I'm Jesse Wood. You've been tuning into The Jesse Wood Show. Let's build together.
Let's go.